I knew the night would end badly the moment my father smiled at me across the table, the tight, polished smile he used right before he reminded the world that I was his favorite disappointment. We were sitting in a private room of a chic Parisian-style restaurant in downtown Boston, all white linen and low golden light. The kind of place where people whispered about money like it was religion. My father leaned forward, tapped his knife against his wineglass, and nodded toward my brother's fiancée. "Don't mind Lena," he said lightly, as if I weren't sitting 2 feet away. "She's still figuring herself out. A permanent work in progress." The woman beside my brother, Victoria Hale, didn't laugh. She didn't smile either. She just looked at me closely, like she was studying a puzzle with missing pieces. "My name is Elena Moore, and I'm 29 years old. And in my family, silence has always been my role. My parents built a prestigious investment firm in Boston. My older brother Ryan stepped into that world like he was born wearing a tailored suit. Confident, loud, applauded. He became everything they valued: visible success, polished ambition, money you could brag about at cocktail parties. And then there was me. I didn't want to manage portfolios or charm donors at galas. I wanted to build something real, something disruptive. I started a logistics tech company from my freezing studio apartment, living on instant noodles and caffeine, talking to developers in different time zones while the city slept. To my family, that wasn't ambition. That was failure dressed up as rebellion. They hated my thrift store sweaters, my refusal to attend their endless charity dinners. They called it wasted potential. I felt their shame every time my name came up, like I was an embarrassing footnote in their success story. That night's dinner was for Ryan's engagement. Victoria was everything my parents had prayed he'd bring home. A senior partner at a Silicon Valley venture capital firm. Sharp, respected, dangerous in heels. They had booked the restaurant's private wine room to impress her. The air smelled like oak barrels and ego. The evening felt less like a celebration and more like a merger. My father bragged about Ryan's deals. My mother gushed over Victoria's investment instincts, using words she barely understood. I pushed my food around my plate, wrapped in that familiar cloak of invisibility. Then, inevitably, the spotlight turned to me. "Elena is still playing with her computer thing," my mother said, patting my hand with pity. "We keep telling her to get serious." Ryan laughed softly. "We even offered her an internship at the firm. Phones, paperwork. Just to get her used to a professional environment. But she likes her freedom." Victoria turned to me politely. "What kind of project is it?" Before I could answer, my father waved his hand dismissively. "Oh, it's boring. Some app. One of a million. Just a hobby." They spoke about me like I wasn't there, like I was a problem to be explained away. My cheeks burned, but I stayed quiet, watching condensation slide down my water glass. When the bill arrived, my father pulled out his black card and looked directly at me. "Don't worry about the cost, sweetheart. Save your pennies for rent. You are the charity case. You are not one of us." This wasn't new, just louder. A month earlier, they hosted a massive summer party at their lake house. Investors, politicians, champagne on the dock. I found out through Instagram photos. Everyone was there, except me. "We didn't want you to feel inadequate," my mother had said cheerfully when I asked. Inadequate. That word followed me everywhere. 3 days before the engagement dinner, Ryan called. "I can wire you some money," he said kindly. "Buy a dress that looks presentable. First impressions matter." He didn't want to help me. He wanted to curate me. What none of them knew, what they never bothered to ask, was that my quiet life wasn't empty. It was strategic. While they played tennis, I was closing international deals. While they laughed about 5-figure bonuses, I was signing contracts under strict NDAs. My company, Atlas Grid, was in stealth mode, and 3 global shipping corporations were already circling. They thought I was invisible, but invisibility can be power. Back at the table, Victoria kept glancing at me, her curiosity sharpening. My family kept talking. Over me. Around me. Then my mother sighed and said the words that finally cracked something open. "We just hope she finds a stable man to take care of her soon." Victoria's fork stopped midair. The room went quiet. She looked at me differently now, not politely, not kindly. Seriously. What did you say your company was called? She asked. My heart slammed against my ribs. I met her gaze. Atlas Grid. Her face changed instantly. And in that moment I knew the silence in my family was about to break. The silence after I said the name felt heavier than anything my family had ever put on me. Atlas Grid. Victoria repeated slowly, like she was testing the weight of the words. Her eyes narrowed, sharp and focused now. Not the polite fiancé anymore. Something colder. Smarter. My father chuckled nervously. Yes, well, that's what she calls it. You know how these little projects. Victoria didn't look at him. She was looking at me. Atlas Grid, she said again. Global logistics optimization. AI-driven routing. Predictive supply chain modeling. She leaned back slightly. That Atlas Grid? Ryan frowned. Babe, you're mixing things up. Elena's just. I'm not, Victoria cut in. My mother's smile faltered. I'm sorry, are we talking about the same thing? Victoria reached into her designer bag and pulled out her phone. Her fingers moved fast. Too fast. She turned the screen toward me first. Founder listed as E. Moore, she said quietly. Operating under multiple shell entities. No press. No public appearances. Valuation estimates, incomplete. She looked back at me. That's you, isn't it? My pulse roared in my ears. The NDA. The months of silence. The years of being underestimated. I nodded once. Yes. Ryan laughed, a short, confused sound. Okay, this is funny. Very funny. When did you become a tech myth? Victoria stood up. The chair scraped loudly against the floor. My parents flinched like someone had dropped a plate. My firm has been trying to get a meeting with Atlas Grid for almost a year, she said, her voice calm but deadly precise. We offered to lead the Series B. We were blocked by legal walls I've never seen before. She turned to Ryan. You said your sister didn't have direction. Then she turned to my parents. You said she was inadequate. My father's face went pale. There must be some mistake. Victoria's mouth tightened. There isn't. She tapped her phone again and placed it flat on the table. A business article filled the screen. No photos. Just numbers. Growth curves. Headlines. The silent giant of East Coast tech. My mother leaned forward, squinting. Is that her? I didn't answer. Ryan stared at the screen, then at me. His confidence cracked just a little. Elena, he said slowly. Why didn't you tell us? I finally laughed. A soft laugh. Tired. Honest. You never ask. The room felt smaller now, like the walls had leaned in to listen. Victoria looked at me with something close to respect. You stayed invisible on purpose. Yes. Why? I thought of every joke, every dismissal, every time my life was used as a warning tale, because silence let me build without interference. My father opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. How much is it worth? There it was. The only question he ever really cared about. I stood up slowly, smoothing my dress. The same dress Ryan thought needed charity money. We'll discuss numbers another time, I said calmly. Victoria smiled then, sharp and approving. Have your people call mine on Monday. I turned to my family. They looked small, confused, stripped of authority. I have an early board meeting, I added. Enjoy the wine. My father blinked. Elena. I walked past him, out of the private room, through the restaurant, into the cool night air. For the first time in my life, the silence behind me wasn't neglect. It was collapse. And I didn't look back to see the damage. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was nervous, but because my phone wouldn't stop lighting up on the nightstand like a small, glowing confession booth. Missed calls, texts, voicemails. Mom, Dad, Ryan, then Dad again. I let them all go unanswered. The city outside my apartment was quiet, the kind of quiet that only comes just before dawn. I sat on the edge of my bed in yesterday's dress, barefoot, staring at my laptop screen. Atlas Grid's dashboard glowed back at me, shipping routes pulsing like veins across the world map.
Alive. Real. Mine.
At 3:47 a.m., a single message came through that I didn't ignore. Victoria Hale, I owe you an apology. And a conversation.
Coffee?
I stared at the text longer than I should have. She hadn't known. Not really. And when she realized the truth, she hadn't tried to soften it or spin it. She had let it land. Hard. Tomorrow morning, I typed back. 8:30, no press. No lawyers. Agreed, she replied instantly. The next morning, I arrived early at a quiet cafe near the harbor. Victoria walked in exactly on time, tailored blazer, no engagement ring. I noticed that immediately. She didn't waste time. They built a narrative about you, she said after ordering. And I believed it. I let you, I replied. She nodded. Fair. We talked for an hour. About the platform, the risks, the growth curve. She was brilliant, relentless in the way only real builders are. When she wasn't asking questions, she was listening. Finally, she leaned back. You know what bothers me the most? What? They never saw you. No, I said. They saw what they needed me to be. She exhaled slowly. Ryan proposed to me because I fit his life, not because he understood mine. I didn't ask what she meant. I already knew. 2 days later, my parents demanded a meeting. Not invited. Demanded. They sat stiffly in my office conference room. My real office, not the imaginary failure they'd always pictured. Glass walls. Quiet confidence. My name etched cleanly on the door. My father cleared his throat. We're proud of you. I waited. We always knew you were capable, my mother added quickly. I smiled, small and polite. No, you didn't. Silence again. This time, uncomfortable. Ryan leaned forward. We should talk about family equity, legacy, how this affects. I stood. This isn't a family business, I said calmly. It never was. My father's jaw tightened. After everything we've done for you. You did nothing to me, I said. You did things around me. That was the moment they realized something irreversible had happened. They hadn't just underestimated me. They had lost access. That evening, my phone buzzed one last time. Victoria. I ended the engagement. I closed my eyes. I figured, I replied. I didn't want a future built on someone else's shadow. Neither did I. The city lights blinked on outside my window. Atlas Grid's next phase was already in motion. Expansion. Power. Visibility on my terms. But something still tugged at me. Because power doesn't erase history. And families don't let go quietly. The call came 3 weeks later, on a Tuesday afternoon, right in the middle of a board vote. I didn't recognize the number at first. Boston area code.
Old.
Familiar. I silenced it. Then it rang again. I excused myself, stepped into the hallway, and answered. Elena, my father said. His voice sounded thinner, stripped of its usual confidence. We need to talk. I closed my eyes. Atlas Grid had just signed its largest partnership to date. The kind of deal that changes industries. My team was celebrating inside the conference room, laughing, alive. I leaned against the glass wall, watching them through the reflection. I'm busy, I said. I know, he replied quickly. That's why I'm calling. There it was. Respect, arriving late and uninvited. The firm is in trouble, he continued. A major client pulled out. Others are nervous. I waited. We could use your guidance, he said carefully. Your insight. Not help. Not love. Not apology. Guidance. I felt something settle in my chest. Not anger. Not satisfaction.
Clarity.
I can recommend consultants, I said. Send me an email. Elena, he said, sharper now. We're family. I looked back through the glass at my team, people who believed in me before the headlines, before the valuation, before the silence broke. No, I said softly. We're related. I hung up. That night, I met Victoria again, this time at a rooftop bar overlooking the harbor. Wind in our hair. No roles. No expectations. You okay? She asked. I think so, I said. It's strange. I spent years wanting them to see me, and now that they do, I don't need it. She smiled. That's when you know you've won. Weeks passed, then months. Atlas Grid went public, quietly, deliberately. My name appeared in articles.
Panels invited me.
People finally pronounced it correctly. My family watched from a distance. Ryan sent one message. Didn't know you had it in you.
I didn't reply.
On a cold fall morning, I returned to the restaurant where everything had cracked open. Same white tablecloths. Same soft light. I sat alone this time, coffee in hand, calm in my bones. The silence around me felt different now. It wasn't imposed. It was chosen. I realized something then. The sweetest revenge wasn't proving them wrong. It was building a life so full, so aligned, that their approval had no place left to sit. I paid the bill myself and smiled at the irony. Some people are born loud. Others learn how to let the world lean in and listen. And I was finally done being the silence in someone else's story. This one was mine.